Are you procrastinating on calling a high-level prospect? Maybe you're holding off on reaching out because you're a little bit nervous they're going to pass on that proposal that you sent them. Or maybe you're frozen and you can't even stand the idea of picking up the telephone to call somebody you really don't know. If this sounds like you, stay tuned. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps you need to apply in order to build your confidence in sales. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help you learn how to become a high-performing sales professional so that you can earn more money in less time. If that sounds good to you, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you can stay in touch and abreast of all the new videos that I'm putting out, typically every single week. Okay, can I let you in on a bit of a secret? It's a big one. It's this big. So listen up. Let me be honest with you. Next to being disciplined around the activities in sales, if you want to be successful, you have to be confident. But there's a problem, right? We don't necessarily just manifest confidence. Or do we? In this video, I'm going to walk you through some steps that I want you to practice on a regular basis because you'll find that over time, these will build your confidence. So it's not a snap of the fingers, one time, you're fixed, go break down some doors. There's some of that comes to play in some sales meetings you've probably heard where people are chanting and jumping around, and that's fine for the moment. But the reality is in sales, we have to build up this shield, this armor that is there to protect us from any concerns, any worries, any doubts that we have on a day in, day out basis. And what I've found in working with sales teams across North America is that ultimately we build this confidence over time. And the more we work at these 4 different steps I'm going to give you, the better you will become as it pertains to being confident in facing situations where typically you weren't so confident. So let's jump into the first one. The first one really is all about self-talk. It's that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you things, or maybe you've heard people talk about that little green monster that's on your shoulder. Maybe it's a shoulder. It's on your shoulder. You've probably heard the saying, right? Well, the reality is this. Oftentimes we're our own worst enemy when it comes to confidence because we tell ourselves things when we're faced with situations we're not sure of. So about to pick up the phone, maybe after having a very uncomfortable conversation, what do we tell ourselves? Oh geez, is this going to be another uncomfortable conversation? I really don't want to make this call, right? That's your inside voice. That's that little green monster. Now, you've maybe heard people say if you have that green monster talking to you, let's say they're on this shoulder, you need to flick them off. I suggest you do this. Right? You actually punch them in the face. Knock them off your shoulder. Now, I'm not condoning violence here, but I'm trying to suggest to you that what we need to do is make sure that when those voices come in the back of our head that tell us we can't do something, something isn't going to go well, and it's often in the form of pessimism, we need to challenge ourselves, and that's where that punch in the face comes into play, right? Not a literal punch in the face, but it's something to snap ourselves out of it. Here's what you do. When you're faced with that self-talk, I want you to challenge it with a logical question. You see, that self-talk is emotional, right? So if you're about to make a very difficult phone call, maybe to a buyer or a new prospect you've never even dealt with before, or a buyer that's really difficult typically to deal with, you're going to be nervous. That's normal. But that little green person on your shoulder, that little voice in the back of your head is going to tell you, oh, this isn't going to go well. I want you to stop it immediately and ask yourself a logical question, which may be, why isn't it going to go well? And if the response is, well, the last time, right, it just didn't go well. Okay, next question. Why is last time a measure of what this next time will be like? You see, it's through logical questions that we snuff out, or at least we dampen emotion. And oftentimes what happens is that self-talk is our emotions speaking. It's due to us being anxious, being nervous, being scared, being concerned, call it what you will. So those are all emotions, and the way we deal with those emotions is by asking ourselves logical questions, because if you continue to ask them, eventually you'll find there's really no bearing or no basis for that emotional response. So that's step 1 that I want you to take. Every time you hear that little voice in the back of your head that's being a little bit pessimistic or this doubtful of what you're able to do, I want you to ask a logical question that will start to snuff out that little green voice. Okay, the second thing I want to share with you is this. There's a great book by Dan Sullivan. It's called The Gap in the Game. And in the book, what Dan talks about is the idea that a lot of times we tend to look ahead, right? We set goals, we pursue those goals, and then if we hit the goals, we tend to move the goalpost again. So if our goal was to sell 10 this month, we hit the 10, normally we say, let's try for 11. Let's try for 12, right? Rarely then do we ever feel like we succeed. And more often than not, we never really stop, turn around and say, wow, I sold 10. That's amazing. Only a year ago, I couldn't sell any, right? So the gap in the gain is the idea that we're constantly changing our goals and never really stopping and reflecting on our success. That's the second part of confidence. I want you to focus on ultimately having very clear goals, not moving those goalposts, and then reflecting periodically on how far you've come. So if you're a senior salesperson, if you've been doing this for 30 years, I want you to think back to those early years when you started out and you maybe had a difficult time selling.
Ryan has never made a sale.
I want you to think about those times when you were faced with new software that you weren't sure how to even use it, and now you use it like it's nothing, right? It's just part of your day. If you're new in sales, I want you to consider all those challenging things you've tackled in the past and how successful you were at those. You see, when we reflect on our success throughout life and throughout our career, it fuels us to be more confident when faced with new or, let's say, uncomfortable situations, right? That's what fuels us. So we need to have very clear goals that we set for ourselves. Okay, that's step one. And then step two, don't move the goalpost. When you hit the goal, whether that's on time or maybe it takes you a little bit longer than you expect, stop and reflect on your success thus far. That reflection, that realization of, hey, I did it. Maybe it took me longer to get to the goal than I thought, but I actually did it. That is what's going to help build our confidence. You see, these are things that I'm sharing with you that aren't going to come out of any upbeat sales meeting that you might attend, right? These are things, these are strategies that you work on a regular basis that will help build and sustain your confidence. So if you like this video so far, make sure you click the like button, give me a thumbs up, and you can also make a comment down below. I'm always looking for So we have a dog and his name's Charlie Brown. Now, I've always wanted a dog and we've had Charlie for about 7 years now. Here's what I've really found with dogs. Of all the good and bad that come with dogs, one of the things that's interesting is that Charlie gets trained to do things based on rewards. So, for example, if we want him to come to us when he was very young, we used treats, right? So when we would convince him to come, we'd give him a treat. He'd walk away, we'd convince him to come, we'd give him a treat. So we're repeating behaviors and rewarding the behaviors we want. And to my surprise, that's what helped us train Charlie. To be honest with you, I'm not a dog whisperer. We had somebody help us in the early days. But the point is this: dogs, like humans, repeat behaviors that get rewarded. Problem is, in sales, oftentimes we're working on our own, right? We set up most of the time what our day looks like. We determine when we make our calls, how many calls we make. And yet these things, these calls, this outreach can be very uncomfortable sometimes, right? Let's be honest, it's not always comfortable. If I get an answer on the other end of the phone and it's a good conversation, that's a great day. But if I get somebody that hangs up, not so comfortable. So we need to reward ourselves and reward the behaviors that we want to see more of.
Once a year, Donna and I spend a day treating ourselves.
So as an example, I tell a lot of my coaching clients, set a period of time in which you're going to make your initial calls, right? But don't make it 2 hours. Don't even make it 1 hour. Make it 20 minutes of calls. Take a quick 5-minute break. Maybe step outside for a minute, talk to somebody that's sitting near you, text your friend, whatever the case is, then go back for another 20 minutes. Whatever it is that you find rewarding, integrate it throughout your day. So it's not a matter of saying, if I get to the end of the day, I'll reward myself. It's setting up micro rewards throughout the day that will ultimately encourage us to continue to repeat and follow through with behaviors that we want to see. You know, going back to my example of Charlie, when I call Charlie today, he comes without me holding a treat out. But when he gets there, he still expects a treat. So are you giving yourself these micro rewards throughout the day, regardless of how long you've been doing these behaviors? Because that's what it's going to take to repeat these activities and these behaviors. And over time, that will continue to build our confidence to ensure that doing things that are a little bit uncomfortable come naturally to us. All right, number 4, might sound a little bit silly, but stick with me here. Number 4 is this: you got to fake it until you make it, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when it comes to selling, A lot of times we're faced with situations that we haven't been faced with before. Even when you've been in sales for years, you can come across a prospect that's really difficult. You can come across a contract that's hard to negotiate. You can come across an objection that seems like it's a new objection. Ultimately, though, the way to move through these is to move through them, right? It's to convince ourselves that we need to take a step forward. We need to go ahead with this in order to reach the other side. We have to put on a smile and do the best we can to get through it, right? We're faking it until we make it. Here's the value of doing so. Although it may be uncomfortable to do some of these things that you've never done before, or you just don't like doing, by doing them repeatedly and forcing yourself to do them, what you'll find happens is you gain confidence in doing them. So the first time I ever went up on stage to speak in front of a large group of people, I was nervous.
But I'm starting to get a bit shaky, you know? I mean, I'm a little bit...
Let's be honest, okay? I couldn't remember most of my lines. In fact, there's a video floating around of me having my lines next to me, right? I was very, very nervous, but I knew I just had to do it. If I wanted to speak professionally, I need to just go out there and speak. And the more I did it, even though I was nervous and it was uncomfortable in the early days, the better I would get. You see, experience is our teacher. And it's through experience that we build our confidence. So if you're unconfident in doing something, you don't have confidence in doing it, but it's the right thing to do, then you move forward and you fake it until you make it. The more you do it and repeat that behavior, the better you'll become at it, the more confident you'll be in moving forward. Now, one thing I've noticed is that in order to be disciplined in sales, which in turn, if we're disciplined, we'll see success, and success breeds our confidence, you'll need to have a way to keep yourself on track. I find a lot of sales professionals use a variety of tools, but the best one I've ever seen is something that you can use simply. You can keep it in front of you and you can plan out and literally write down what your objectives are and what your activities are going to be to get there. It's for that reason I created what I call the 30-day sales action planner. You can get your copy for free. Just grab that link below. I'll send it right over to you. It's in PDF form. You can print it off. You can use it in PDF, however you prefer. It's my gift to you to try and help you stay on track with your sales goals so that ultimately you can be successful in sales and sustain your confidence in sales. Now, from this point, if you'd like to watch another video, I would highly recommend watching this video next, which is all about building your influence in sales. Let's be honest, confidence comes when we become more influential. This video walks you through how to do that. So watch this video next, and until next time, let's get out there and go sell something. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.